So we are ready to start. We are here in the GES 2021, organized by the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in the GES Summit 2021, organized by the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce. I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation they extended to me. I am Nikos Filippidis, and in the coming 30 minutes we're going to talk about films, but not in the artistic sense, but in a more legal sense, because there has been a very promising sector in the economy, a sector that can bring about investments, it can bring money and also promote our country abroad. So there are many indirect benefits for the Greek economy. We're going to discuss about all these issues with some distinguished speakers, specialists in the sector. We have with us Mr. Vasilis Iliopoulos, who is Vice President and General Manager of the Walt Disney Company in Greece and Israel. Good afternoon, Mr. Iliopoulos. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. It is a great pleasure to be here. On my left is the President and CEO of the National Center of Audiovisual Media and Communication, an organization that is responsible for many of the good things that have happened in the country. Mr. Panos Kouanis. He is President and CEO, as I said, of the widely known EKOME. We have one more specialist, Ms. Archontoula A.Papapanagiotou, who is managing partner of A.Papapanagiotou and Partners law firm. You will help us enormously in explaining legal aspects of the filming industry. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for the invitation. Mr. Iliopoulos, I would like to start with you because we want to hear what you have to say. Someone with deep knowledge of the sector. You have already completed the first film that pertains to one of the most important Greeks of our times, Yannis Antetokounmpo, the basketball player. I would like to ask you, what has been your experience by filming this movie? Yes, we are in the pleasant position of completing our first production in Greece, which is focused on one of our national heroes, Yannis Antetokounmpo. It was a very pleasant experience for the studio in America as well. The fact that the American studio moved to Greece for a period of 3 months was proof that we found fertile ground to do what we had to do. We found also a very satisfying environment with regard to our investment in the country. And I believe that the experience becomes even more positive by the fact that the initial plan for the production of the film, although it's referred to 70% being completed in America, 70% was finally completed in Athens, Sepoia. Yes, the country, did it get any benefits? Yes, of course, it had some very practical benefits. We're talking about the production which contributed over 20 million euros to Greece. More than 500 people were employed, 10 Greek actors. We are talking about 5,000 people working in this production. Equally important was the fact that we gave the possibility to 14 academic students from different film schools and photography schools to take part in the whole process, from production up to post-production. They were part of this process. So this was the impact prior to the screening, correct? Yes, we're talking about a film which will be uploaded to the new streaming platform of Disney. For the time being, it is accessible to 120 million households, and it will be released within 2022. So images of Greece will reach households around the world. We are interested in the immediate benefits, the immediate results, but I also believe that the indirect benefits are equally important. These indirect benefits to which Mr. Kikilias referred earlier. Another production that showcased another area of Greece, Salonika, was the film Barracuda that was filmed in Thessaloniki, in which starred Antonio Banderas. The moment Antonio Banderas arrived in Greece, he went to Salonika, he went in front of the White Tower, took a picture, uploaded on the Instagram, and had millions of views. And he was saying, I'm in Thessaloniki for my new film. So this was an indirect advertising of Salonika that cannot be bought. And it was taken during the filming. Yes, but in order for Antonio Banderas to do that, we have done something right, correct? We do it correctly. The point is, can we actually do it in a better way? Can you tell us what EKOME is doing in order to promote this type of productions? Our task was to develop an ecosystem in which Greek companies, foreign companies could actually make an investment in Greece, which would allow Greeks to be employed. In other words, we wanted to boost employment throughout our sector, and especially when it comes to crews, filming crews and Greek production companies. What we managed to do, and especially during the pandemic, was to make the most of the successful management of the pandemic in order to create an incentive that was based on a couple of changes in the law, which turned to be more attractive for foreign investors. And the moment the country opened again, many foreign productions arrived in Greece. These foreign productions initially wanted to operate in different countries, but in the end they chose Greece. For example, last September, we had a company that decided to film the movie in Greece, in Spetses. This film may get an Oscar. It has already received many awards. We're talking about the Lost Daughter movie. And in 2021, we have even more films being shot in Greece. I will give you some numbers in order for you to understand. Up to 2020, the most expensive production ever made in Greece, and I'm not talking about Captain Corelli's Mandolin, that is an old movie. So the most expensive production ever made in Greece was made in 2020. I'm talking about Lost Daughter, 3.5 million euros expenditure in Greece. In 2021, we have approximately 10 movies or series that amount to over 10 million euros of expenses in Greece. I'm talking about The Greek Freak. Are you talking about direct expenses? People who travel, eat, drink. No, apart from the small movies that continue to be filmed in Greece, I'm talking about films of a budget of 3-4 millions. We have also big films that have even greater budgets, films which in the past would never be shot in Greece. Now we have millions of expenses being made in Greece. We're talking about hundreds of jobs. So these millions that you're talking about, thanks to your incentives. Yes, only this year, Greek Freak, Antonio Banderas in Salonika, Jack Ryan by Amazon Paramount in Attica, Lavrion District, Expendables, Northern Greece. What else did we have? You will tell us. Yes, of course, David Cronenberg with his film In Summer, many different productions, Tehran by Apple TV, which is still being shot in Athens. I'm interested in this second round of questions to hear what you have to say about the implementation of the plan that you have developed. How can it be implemented? And of course, can you share with us some best practices that we can follow? Ms. Papapanagiotou, you know very well that other countries for many years now are doing this. They are getting increased revenues. The point is that we also now have a regulatory framework, and we keep on talking about opening up to the market. But the point is that this opening up had started some time ago, and we know who made this opening to the market. Truly, the legislative framework was established in 2017 by the previous government. It was an initiative of the Deputy Minister, Mr. Kretsos. It was a very typical case of a success story. a success story that shows the importance of the continuation of a government, because this was, as I said, an initiative taken by the previous government, which also enjoyed the support of the current government, which is something very rare, of course. And that's why it shows what we can achieve when there is this continuation. When the foreigners arrived, and I'm talking about this workshop that was organized, and you probably remember, it was organized when Mr. Tretsos was deputy minister. So in the context of that workshop, many people had raised some questions and some doubts that pertain to three issues. First of all, infrastructure, but also human resources, which are necessary to support this type of productions. People, in other words, who have the knowledge and the know-how. The second main source of concern was whether the wider environment was favorable to this type of productions. Okay, the subsidies existed. They amounted to 25%. They would get this amount of money, but was the wider environment friendly to this type of production? Because the point was not only to get the money, people wanted to be able to continue production no matter what. For example, they wanted to get easy authorizations, licenses. They wanted to be sure about the taxation regime. Many of these people were tax residents of other countries, or they have insurance in other countries. So they were interested in issues like this. Moreover, another concern was the import of machinery, fake guns that are very important for action films, as you know, or visas as well. Up until then, we had the possibility to provide visa to people that resided in the country for over 3 years. You can understand that this was impossible for people who came to Greece to film a production for 3 months. So all these were major issues, major impediments that had to be overcome. And that is why then a mapping of these problems was made, and slowly but steadily they started to be resolved. And now we have the results that we have. And we have Mr. Iliopoulos, for example, saying that this wider environment was favorable, which means that these people did not encounter any problems in terms of infrastructure or human resources. And what I can say is that we have extremely talented people, artists and technical staff that can support, not only thanks to their experience and know-how, this type of productions. These people are willing to do what it takes in order to ensure the best possible circumstances for the production of films. Of course, this does not mean that there is no room for improvement. Yes, this was exactly what I wanted to ask you. We have done the basics, okay? We haven't reinvented the wheel. We are doing what we were supposed to do. The things that other countries are doing. You, as a CEO of a major company, what are the prospects in your view, and what are the obstacles that continue to exist? I believe that we initially lagged behind compared to other countries, but we have caught up. And this is proven by the presence of many studios here in Greece. The presence is proof of the trust of the studios in the country. We have Netflix, Prime, Paramount, Disney. We're talking about major studios that do not have at their disposal neither the time nor the possibility to take long in order to complete the production. Now, as long as the framework remains flexible and friendly to the studios, and this is what we said earlier, that in the Greek market there is the necessary talent, there is this legacy that is very important, and which is also a legacy for the future, to attract studios again and continue productions. We are in a European space, which is very important. Processes are fast. So I believe that from now on, comes down to networking. to attract more investments. And I believe that another major development is the European directive that will encourage or impose quotas in the production of European content. And I believe that this can benefit our country. Yes, this is what I wanted to ask you. Which are the countries that are making the biggest productions here in Greece? Who were the first? Who will continue to produce here in Greece? And with regard to what Mr. Iliopoulos said then about the wider environment, do we have the necessary environment for permanent facilities, for example, for big studios of Hollywood size or even smaller, permanent studios, in other words? In the past, we were hearing about some warehouses being utilized. Okay, I would like to start from what you said last. The fact that we have so big productions, or better, to put it differently, the first productions that came into contact with us were European productions. They were either co-productions or European productions. And the first movie that submitted an application to EKOME in April 2018 was a French-German production of a TV series. And it did very well, just as all the others did. And then slowly the Americans came along. We also have people from Korea. Korea that has many productions, both in cinema and in TV. It has a tradition. Yes, and now the Greek youth has been familiarized with the Korean productions. Yes, we have productions from everywhere. Canada, from Great Britain, France, Italy, Germany. What is the best country in this type of productions? Look, when we drafted the bill of law, we had the advantage of being the last because this type of incentives started in Canada in the 1990s. So we were the last, which was good for us because we had to find our place in a world where everyone had their position. So we could compare ourselves to the others and make the most of the positive features of ours. And another good thing we did since 2017 that the law was passed up until now, we have been making changes, corrections, to put it differently. Not only corrections, we keep track of the competitors and we improve not only our product, which is the best country, Croatia, Spain, which one? Look, right now we have neighboring countries that had a very attractive rebate, which no longer works. What was very good for us was the fact that the Romanian market actually collapsed. Why? In the beginning, the Americans enjoyed a rebate of 22%. That was very beneficial. 4 studios were built there. Now, there are huge problems in Romania because they stopped paying, and there are many millions of dollars that the Romanian government owes to American producers, and that is why the American producers opted for Greece instead. We pay on time. Yes, we do pay on time. So what I wanted to say is the following. All these productions created a huge need, which is of a dual nature. There is a need for human specialized resources and the need for infrastructure. There is a studio that is being built now in Thessalonica, in Thermi. People have bought the land and they have started construction. There is huge needs for studio around Greece. I know that there are many businessmen who are interested in operating in the production and post-production part. I know that many foreign companies are interested in operating in Greece, and I'm saying that because I have come into contact with them. And I know that Universal will come to Greece next year in order to film a very big series. That is why it organized this bootcamp, if you know. Universal, in the beginning of the year, organizes a bootcamp, which is a training program basically for production assistants. Production assistants, as you know, are the basis of a production. It's the entry-level job for someone. And Universal requires 50. For the time being, the application is on for 3-4 days, and we have over 100 applications. So I really wonder how they're going to choose. It's not easy to choose the right people. especially when you have so many CVs. But it's not only Universal that is doing that. There are other studios that are doing the same. I know that in Salonika there is a new training program for stuntmen, which are very, very popular in action movies. So you are talking about so many programs. Yes, our sector has no unemployment. A good professional is not only employed, but can actually negotiate his salary. This is good news. Of course, Mr. Papapanagiotou, there is also the issue of rights, intellectual rights. Is this an obstacle to productions like this? I'm talking about the Greek institutional framework. Look, with regard to Greek productions, no obstacle whatsoever, because there are the European directives that have been incorporated in all national laws, and the system is the same in all countries. Now, with regard to productions coming from America, for example, where the system of intellectual rights is radically different, where the main part of the system is the investor and producer himself, and the directors, scriptwriters, creators, in other words, transfer their rights on a buyout basis. So in this case of American companies, when they come here to sign, and you have all the creators and the script writers and all the rest, there are very different things that they sign and very different things that are governing the whole production. And of course, these people cannot manage their intellectual rights on a standalone basis. In Greece, we had some problems with most, isn't that right? Yes, this sometimes creates problems, but I deeply believe in convergence. In other words, I believe that the companies that come here from abroad need to understand that the system here is different. And it's not different only in Greece. It is the same in all European countries. They need to understand also that the upcoming directives will make this system even more different and homogeneous at the same time, which means that the companies need to understand that they will have to abide by these directives. They will have to abide by specific rules regarding the salaries and the intellectual rights. And if they do that, convergence will be sure. I believe that this is not a problem per se. On the contrary, I believe, and this has been shown clearly during the last few months, that it can be something beneficial, something positive. I apologize for interrupting you, but many a time we tend to have problems here in Greece because of some petty interests that want to make more from what they are entitled to. No, for me, there are no petty interests. The organizations of collective bargaining of the scriptwriters, for example, or of the musicians, for whom, by the way, we have two organizations of collective bargaining, which is not acceptable. Anyway, the point is that the system of intellectual property is a system for protection of intellectual property, which means that right now the actors and the creators make a living out of the repetitions of the series on TV. Every December and every June, they collect these rights, which are very important for their survival. In America, where they operate on a buyout basis, and they have at the same time very powerful collective bargaining, in the context of which they transfer the rights, they may get even more than the European creators actually get. In other words, we need to understand that it is a system which, our system I'm talking about, and the European system is not a system that alienates creators. On the contrary. So I keep what you said, that they need to adjust it to our system. I would like to have a final comment by each and every one of you. First of all, you, Mr. Iliopoulos. You have cooperated with many people. Can you tell us how willing they are to accept the particularity of our country, and up to what extent? I believe that we have laid the foundations in order for them to accept the particularity and specificity. We, the Walt Disney Group, we have a local office here in Greece, which means that we have accepted this particularity and specificity of Greece. And the fact that we have studios coming back to Greece proves that they have accepted this particularity, or better, that the Greek particularity and specificity has accommodated their needs. We are talking about a European environment, which is the example that other countries can follow. We no longer talk about the prospects of the country per se, we're talking about the prospects of Europe, since we're talking about a European environment. What is the market that we want to create? What is the plan of EKOME for the future? We're talking about foreign productions here in Greece. So what can you say about that? Sky is the limit. I will answer. Yes. By sharing with you something that people from Netflix had said. In September 2020, we made an amendment in the law that was truly a game changer. What was it? We introduced the non-resident labor. We introduced it as eligible expenditure, which for the major productions is a gift, because they can add the big names in the eligible expenses. 3 days later, they call me from the central offices of Netflix, and they tell me, Panos, we want you to understand some things of the law. I said, I didn't have the time to translate it. No, we translated it. I asked, how did you do that? They answered, Google Translate. But since we understand nothing, can you please explain to us some parts of the law? I told them, don't worry, I will explain everything right now, and then I will send the translation. You understand, they replied, that what you just did, you have become the first destination in Europe. And I said, yes, I know. Okay, no further comment needed. So this is our objective, to become the #1 destination in Europe, to become a hub and a center of productions, and believe that there are no limits. We are the ones who set the limits. Yes, we have grown up with Big Blue and with other major productions that had been completed here in Greece, and we have always been wondering why we hadn't had more productions arriving in Greece. We are a country with 360 days of sunshine. We have so many destinations. We have so many different landscapes. We have mountains. We have snow. People abroad don't know that we have snow. We have Mykonos, Santorini. Yes, we have sun and sea and everything. And one last comment from you, Ms. Papapanagiotou, especially about the extroversion that needs to remain in order to attract foreign investments. This is where we should focus on, isn't that right? Yes, we should focus on that. Of course, I also believe that supporting productions, especially Greek productions of fiction and of series, is very important. The point is that what we give out of the national budget has a multiplier effect. This is the meaning of the measure that was introduced. Yes, we give money in order to get more in return. Yes, this is the rationale. The foreign productions need to be supported as well. And what slightly troubles me is the fact that there are some subsidies of productions, an episode of which costs 15,000 euros. When we could have more expensive productions. And generally speaking, I believe that this measure needs to provide an incentive to the TV stations, TV channels, who are the producers of TV series. And you know that Mr. Filippidis very well, to invest in important big productions that are made in alignment with quality standards. productions that can actually compete with major networks and platforms. These are the productions that need to be assisted. In other words, this measure shouldn't be a subsidy measure of local channels that can actually use their own funds, but an incentive for channels to make productions that are difficult to be made without subsidies. I would like to thank all of you. First of all, you, Ms. Panagiotou, the lady of the company, Mr. Iliopoulos, thank you very much. Mr. Kouanis, thank you very much for everything you said. I hope that you found interesting this discussion. Personally, I did. It is a topic that I enjoyed deeply. I love movies. I wish all the best to the Hellenic American Chamber of Commerce and to the GES, which will continue shortly. Bye-bye.